My presentation is titled History for Non-Historians, Analyzing the Effectiveness of Various Natural Language Processing Models Used in Social Media. And I'm Jayashabari Shankar, and I am a HSUP High School University Program student at the University of Utah in the United States. And let's dive into the presentation. So the topics to be covered are, first, we will start off with the introduction and the motivation behind my research and why I decided to take undertake the study in natural language processing. Second, I'd like to read over my abstract. This is like an annotated abstract reading where I hope that I'll be adding some comments and I'll be talking about my methodology throughout the abstract. So it's basically like a summary of my paper. Then we'll be going over some snippets of the paper, some of the main points, the main takeaways from the paper. And finally, some final words on what this means for the field of history, for historians, and how it's relevant to the general public as well. So I will move this here. Okay. Introduction and motivation. So prior NLP research, so natural language processing will be abbreviated as NLP throughout this presentation, just a heads up. But prior NLP research mainly focuses on taking large bodies, it's called a corpus in NLP research. We call it a corpus. And we take large bodies of information from social media, from different sources. Then we put it together and then decide to analyze it with NLP techniques. That's what major research studies in NLP in the field of history and the digital humanities have focused on so far. But here we decided to take a novel approach. I decided to study NLP with regards to the personalization that is used in one's social media user interface. So when using social media, I think many of you might have noticed that the different content, based on the content you consume, your feed, it's called, we colloquially call it the social media feed, right? It is personalized based on the information that you consume. So if you consume history-related information, you will be getting history-related news. You'll be getting posts that are coming up on your feed. So we see that especially in social media like Twitter, which uses text. Text is a major part of Twitter. Text information, history information that is transmitted, historical information from the historian to the non-historian to the general public. It is transmitted to that text form. And social media uses different NLP techniques that are like used to personalize the information that you receive. And this is unlike previous research. I think many of you who are in the NLP research field may notice. You may know about GPT-3, which is actually like given a large body of text, it will summarize it for you. And these are the kinds of studies that have been mainly done in digital humanities. But here we decided to take a novel approach with this personalization. So that was the motivation behind the study. And we're going to be going over the different NLP models that I use and the connection to history and what like this actually means feasibly for historians today in the future. Yeah, let's next move on to the abstract reading. So I hope that we can read through the abstract and better understand what exactly I was trying to get from the study. So, okay. Sorry. So social media, due to social media, there is a large quantity of information that is being transferred, that is being spread to the general public. And this social media has the potential to empower members of the public by facilitating their understanding of past historical concepts, whether to apply it to present day scenarios or to deepen their comprehension of contemporary problems and the root of their causes. Prior research on the impact of social media on popular history. So popular history, this is a clarification of the term, but we're talking about popular history is basically history of the people. It's history for non-historians. So history that is not intended for an academic audience. And popular history generally focuses on issues caused by both creators and users of popular history, transmitted through social media, such as the simplification and dramatification of historical fact and the spread of misinformation. So these are some big issues with transmitting history for non-historians, because history is a very complex subject, and oftentimes when historians transmit it to non-historians, especially through social media, because they're, especially with tweets, if you notice, there's a limited character count. So history has to be simplified. The complex nature of history is not fully depicted when historians through popular history. So here, we decided to take a different approach. I decided to undertake a detailed study of the algorithmic issues in social media. Biases caused not necessarily by human social media users, but rather by the technological application itself. Now, what I'm saying is that technology doesn't have any biases, but these technological biases here, the vocabulary term is used as human biases, but simply exacerbated by the nature of the algorithms in the technological application. So the applications considered here, however, do not have any inherent biases. No application has those kinds of biases, but we're just saying that with the transmittance of human biases, to what extent are they magnified in these technology applications, in these NLP models? So why we particularly focus on social media algorithms, broadly categorized under NLP machine learning, because NLP deals with text data, as I mentioned previously. And this is the most common method of transmitting popular history to a general audience. However, these days we do have images, we do have videos that are being used in popular history, but we mainly focus on textual data because NLP focuses with language, with text. So we started with an analysis of various NLP techniques used by social media applications and features, such as Ngram models, the bag of words model, and the word embedding approach. So these are the three big NLP models that we're going to be looking at. So these three models, Ngram, it's also called the Markov chain. It was one of the first NLP models there was a very famous paper, I think in the 1900s regarding this. It was the first NLP model to be described and to be written up in a research paper, and bag of words and the word embedding approach. So we'll be looking at these three models in the next section in a detailed study of like what these different models do and how social media uses them. So what we did was we calculated quantitatively the extent of the bias using probability, and then we qualitatively determined the extent of magnification in each of these NLP models. So using our analysis of NLP models, we then predicted the impact that each NLP model had on the spread of human, whether creator or user bias. So the study, here are the conclusions, because I think it's very important for us to understand as historians. The study finds that the word embedding algorithm works best for transmitting popular history because it minimizes bias and also prevents the magnification of human errors, both simplification and dramatification of history. This study could improve the NLP models used by various social media sites, ensuring a better understanding of history for non-historians. The intersection between artificial intelligence algorithms and social media and the spread of popular history through social media is a valuable field to study and understand, especially as the world of history grows more and more technological. The public's understanding of history is also a crucial issue to consider, especially with the ubiquity of historical knowledge in the social media and internet age. So this study, by considering the issues facing the field of history through a technological lens, hopes to bridge the gap between the public understanding and historians' understanding of history, which is bridged by machine learning. And this is what we're going to be looking at in the snippets of the paper. So here you'll be noticing some prompts. You'll be noticing different n values. So what exactly is this? This is the first model that we considered in our study. It is the Ngram model, also known as the Markov linear model. And if you have a look at these prompts that the model has generated, these sentences, these texts that the model has generated, you'll notice a few patterns. First of all, I've noted the N. Now it's called the Ngram model because it considers, so N would be, here it's depending on the number of words. It's while I programmed the Ngram Markov chain model, you have to input different N values. So here, But for now, a general understanding of the n-gram model will suffice. You will notice that as the value of n increases, the more accurate the model seems. N equals to 4 is a very simple prompt. George Washington was. There's not much to it. There could be George Washington was a president. George Washington was the first president. There's no detail in this, as you can see. And as it goes bigger and bigger, you may notice Alexander the Great conquered these areas in the year 300 BC. So the higher the n, the more accurate the model is. But it also means a higher likelihood of model just copying the corpus. Meaning, so I have not addressed the corpus and the text that we used in the study, but I have actually included it in my paper in the references section. But there is a very popular history, world history text. It's an online database that is used by many historians and I just used that as my corpus. That was fed into the model. And this is what the model outputted, the n-gram model. So you may also notice that additionally, the model has no sense of grammatical correctness and will often output incoherent or repetitive prompts, especially when n is small. Now you may notice, what are some challenges? There are some grammatical mistakes that are occurring when the n is smaller, the n value. So, but when the n value is bigger, it'll just copy what was given in the text. So it's very important to find that sweet spot between preventing the grammar mistakes, preventing the simplicity, but also preventing this copying, the simple copying of prior historical information that's been written by somebody else, plagiarism, right? So we're trying to get that perfect sweet spot while using the n-gram model. Now the next two models are the bag of words approach and the word embedding approach. So in the bag of words approach, unlike the n-gram model, the order of the words in the document does not matter, because what happens is the model simply creates a bag of words. So think of it as putting all the words into a bag and just mixing it together, because the order of the words does not matter. And you may realize that this is a problem because the grammar structure will be lost. The unique writing styles will also be lost. So there's no structure, there's no order. And we analyze how unique a word is in a certain document or across all documents by using associations and similarity scores. However, one of the big advantages that the bag of words approach has is that the next words are found using similarity scores, as I said. So similar words are more likely to appear together. That is one of the advantages. And next, the word embedding approach. This was, if you may recall from the abstract, the word embedding approach is actually one of the most accurate ones that we found was in our study of NLP models, but each word is represented by a vector. Oh, sorry, there's a typo here, but also called word embeddings. Similar words have similar word embeddings, as their vectors will together have a higher dot product or cosine similarity. So that's just a mathematical formula that we use to find similarities between the words. And like the bag of words approach, since we use these similarity scores, this is a form of it, but it's a little more complicated. So I think the word of embedding approach was most successful from all three of them in having the in portraying the least bias like when it outputted data, it had the least bias out of the three models. It actually, well, it did not have bias. What I'm trying to say, of course, is that it magnified the least of human biases because of this accuracy that we get from the word embedding approach. So I once again repeated the last part of my paper, the last paragraph, because I wanted all of you to think about how, especially because the world of digital humanities, digital history, is evolving into a world with machine learning. And we are starting to use many tools like NLP. We're using, image processing analysis. Many machine learning tools are being used, especially by social media sites. And we have to evaluate what this means for the public's understanding of history, because social media has a very simplistic view of history. It portrays a very simplistic view of history. And as we can see, there are many possibilities for bias being magnified, especially with these three models. Now, just a limitation of the study that I need to know is these are the three broad models that are used by NLP researchers. Well, not used, but they're mainly studied. They're the ones that are focused on. And these, of course, social media's algorithms are going to be more complicated than this, but this is the broad foundation of NLP. And if we need to understand what it means for the field of history, we need to go back to this foundation and understand these three models. So thank you everyone for listening. And before the questions, I would like to acknowledge I participated in an MIT program during the summer through which I learned many of these. We worked on these machine learning research projects and NLP, and I decided to undertake a independent project regarding machine learning, and one of my passions is history, to combine both of these. And just an acknowledgement, because many of the things that I've learned there were very useful in the study I conducted. So please feel free to contact me if you have any questions after the conference, and I'm also open for questions now.